You check the price. You wince. You swipe the card. You drive away and forget about it until next week. Gas goes up, gas comes down. It's weather. Background noise. Something that happens to you and then unhappens, and your life continues basically the same. That's what you've been trained to believe. Last Friday night, the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran. By Monday morning, the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow channel off Iran's southern coast that carries 20% of the world's oil supply, was effectively shut down. Shipping companies halted operations. Insurance companies pulled war risk coverage. Gas prices jumped 11 cents overnight, the biggest single-day spike since March 2022. And across every financial news outlet, the same headline: what rising gas prices mean for your wallet. But here's a number none of them mentioned. According to Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi, every sustained 1 cent increase in gas prices costs American consumers an additional $1.4 billion per year. Not per household, across the entire economy. 1 penny. And gas didn't go up 1 penny. It went up 11 in a single day. With analysts now projecting it could reach $3.50 a gallon if the conflict drags into April. That's not a pump problem, that's an architecture problem. Because the price you see on that sign at the gas station, that's the visible bleed. It's the part of the wound you can see. What you can't see is the cascade running underneath it. And that cascade is where the real damage happens. Here's how it actually works. Diesel fuel, not gasoline, is the backbone of the American supply chain. Every truck, every freight train, every refrigerated shipping container, every piece of farm equipment. Diesel moves the physical economy. And diesel always spikes harder and stays elevated longer than regular gas. GasBuddy is already projecting diesel could reach $4.25, maybe $4.45 a gallon, up from $3.71 just 2 weeks before the strikes. When diesel climbs, trucking companies don't absorb the cost. They can't. Their margins are razor thin. They add fuel surcharges. Those surcharges hit within days, not weeks, not months, days. And they're passed directly to the businesses receiving the shipments, which means your grocery store is paying more for every delivery before a single shelf price has changed. Now, does the grocery store eat it? For about a week, maybe 2. Then it shows up on the sticker. But here's where it gets structural. Economists have a name for what happens next. They call it rockets and feathers. A phenomenon Borenstein, Cameron, and Gilbert first documented in 1997. Retail prices absorb a cost increase within about 4 weeks. But when the input cost drops, that decrease takes 8 weeks or longer to reach you. A 2023 study in energy economics confirmed the pattern extends beyond the pump, into food, dairy, even fertilizer. The asymmetry is built into the system. Prices go up like a rocket. They come down like a feather. So what does this mean for your actual life? Follow the chain. Oil spikes, diesel spikes harder. Trucking adds surcharges within days. Grocery distributors absorb it for maybe a week, then pass it through. Shelf prices rise. Your food budget, which you planned at the beginning of the month based on last month's prices, is suddenly 15–20% short. And that gap has to go somewhere. For most people, it goes to the credit card, which is sitting at 21–22% APR. And that balance, it compounds, quietly, for months after the gas price has already normalized. By week 3, you're bleeding from 5 sources, but you can only see one, the number on the gas station sign. Now, it gets worse. This whole cascade, oil to diesel to trucking to groceries to credit card, runs through a household financial system that was never designed to handle external shocks. At all. The standard budget is a single pipe. Income flows in at the top, expenses flow out at the bottom. There's no valve, no buffer, No intermediate layer that catches rising pressure before it reaches your core spending and savings. This week, Vanguard released their annual How America Saves report. 6% of 401k participants made hardship withdrawals last year. That's triple the pre-pandemic rate of about 2%. The median amount? $1,900. And the reasons weren't luxuries. They were avoiding eviction and paying medical bills. These are people whose financial architecture had no shock absorption layer. When cost pressure rose from the bottom, energy, food, transport, it compressed everything above it until something broke. And the thing that broke was their retirement. The 401k was never designed to be an emergency fund, but for millions of Americans, it's the only pool of money that exists between their checking account and zero. That's not a personal failure, that's a structural one. So the gas price isn't the problem. The problem is that your financial architecture is a single pipe system, running in a world that delivers shocks every 12 to 18 months like clockwork. Pandemic, supply chain crisis, inflation surge, war. These aren't anomalies, they're features. And the architecture most people are using was designed for a world that assumes stable prices, predictable costs, and shocks that happen once a generation. That world is gone. The goal was never to predict the next crisis. It was to build a financial structure that absorbs impact without transmitting it to your core systems. Not save more, redesign the pipes. Here's the specific system. 3 layers. Each one intercepts the cascade at a different point. Layer 1, the pressure valve account. A separate account. Not your checking, not your savings, not your emergency fund. Funded by a fixed, automatic transfer every paycheck. $50 to $150, depending on your income. Its only purpose is to absorb variable cost increases when they hit. Gas spikes? The pressure valve covers the difference. Groceries jump? Same account. You don't adjust your monthly budget, you don't shuffle money around at midnight. The valve was already there, pre-funded, waiting. The key, and this is the part most people skip, is sizing it to your actual variable cost exposure. Add up what you spend monthly on gas, groceries, energy, and transport. That total is your vulnerability number. Your pressure valve account holds 1 month of that buffer at minimum. You calculate it once, you automate the funding, you forget it exists until a shock hits. And when it does, the system absorbs it before you even notice. Layer 2, pre-commitment contracts. This is where you convert variable costs into fixed ones, anywhere the option exists. Fuel discount programs at warehouse clubs lock in a per-gallon discount regardless of market swings. Grocery delivery subscriptions with price match guarantees cap your food spend at a predictable number. Fixed-rate energy plans, where available in your state, eliminate utility bill volatility entirely. Each one of these removes a pipe from the cascade. The shock still happens upstream, but it can't reach you because you already locked the price before the spike arrived. Layer 3, the circuit breaker protocol. This isn't an account, it's a decision rule you write in advance. You pick a threshold, say, total variable costs exceeding your monthly baseline by 15%. When that threshold trips, you execute a pre-written response, not spend less, a specific ordered sequence. First, pause your lowest value subscription. Second, shift 2 meals per week from takeout to home cooked. Third, defer 1 non-essential purchase by 30 days. The protocol isn't about deprivation. It's about having a plan that was designed while you were calm, so that when the shock hits, you execute instead of react. 3 layers. Pressure valve absorbs the first impact. Pre-commitment contracts block the cascade from reaching you. Circuit breaker catches whatever gets through. Your neighbor panics at the pump and puts groceries on a credit card at 22% interest. You absorbed this 3 weeks ago, automatically, without touching your checking account, without rating your 401k, without calling it a crisis. The price of gas didn't change your life. Not because you earn more, because your financial architecture was built for the world as it actually is. Volatile, shock-prone, and structurally designed to pass every cost increase directly to you. Unless you build the walls yourself. In the Savings Cliff episode, we talked about how asset inflation traps people in a cycle of doom spending because long-term goals feel impossible. This is the other half of that equation. The economy doesn't just inflate your goals away, it bleeds your present, one invisible cascade at a time, through pipes you didn't even know were there. And if you're wondering who designed it this way, that's a different story.